Hey, it is last Friday in July, 25th. Got a lot going on. Got a lot. Actually, these strings are bugging me. I'm going to have to talk about strings today. I might even have to change these strings like right now. Should I do that during the news? I got all this stuff here. Nah. Okay. I'll spare you that, watching me change strings. But maybe someday. Speaking of strings, well, wait. What do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about some of the songs that came out. I want to welcome some old members and new members to Totally Guitars. That was kind of a cool thing. And we'll talk about tuning, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, and talking a little bit about strings. Because right now these strings are driving me nuts because they're so dead. It's been so hot here that now my, greasier, oilier hands and stuff like that, and they just sound thumpy. For the high strings are still okay. That song. Anyway, I gotta learn it someday. It reminds me of this one. Yeah, I got a couple ragtime pieces from the El Dorado days. What was the first one? Paprika. Same album? I don't even remember now. Oh, things are getting really fuzzy. Let's see, what do I want to talk about? Let's do a quick rundown of what happened this week, and I'll give you, let's see, the heads up on this too. I might even try to tackle this piece, although I need new strings for this. We'll see. Maybe we'll end with that. So, what do we have this week? Fred. Uh-oh. This is not the key I usually play it in. Up there, of course. Okay, let's butcher that. Where was I going? We had a little, a little fly on the wall with Fred. Little clap. Oh, had a little bit more of Whodunit, right? Oh, we're closing in on that. Wait a minute. There we go. I've been playing so many things lately. You've of course heard this. I'm not going to waste your time with that one right now. That I'm having trouble keeping the old stuff in good shape. Let's see, didn't we just talk about that last week? I think so. Anyway, let's see, we had another little installment of Whodunit. We're closing in on that. I think we're actually close to the end, just a little bit of the arrangement. We'll pop that out next week. And what else? Oh, we had Love Will Keep Us Alive, a third generation Eagles song. Once they kind of regrouped, I guess, back in the 90s. And I hope you guys got a kick out of this, and I hope people are thinking about checking out this album when it comes out next week. For those who are not too familiar with J.J. Cale, if you start listening to more of his stuff, you'll hear how he influenced a ton of people, particularly Mark Knopfler is one of the big ones that, and a lot of people contributed to this album that Eric Clapton has gone to a lot of trouble to assemble. So I really want people to check out the tribute to J.J. Cale album that is coming out next week. And I think I even already ordered the vinyl. Next week I'll show you the vinyl version of that, probably. So, yeah, so hold on. This was a fun lesson to put together because it gave me a chance to branch out a little bit and talk a little bit more about lead playing, break out the other guitar with some dots on it so you can sort of see a little bit what's going on. So kind of stepped out into a new direction with that. And anyway, let's see. Getting the stuff on the questions on the forum. I forgot one last thing that we didn't talk about last week with Gene's question about strings. I think I never got to my opinion of coated strings, and I really recommend them from a lot of angles. One is they will last longer. They'll stay on your guitar. I mean, you can change your strings maybe every 6 months. If you've got coated strings, they'll stay in pretty good shape because they prevent the strings from absorbing the oils and gooks from your hand and stuff. I don't use them because I really like the sound of brand new strings, and they're not quite as bright as brand new ones. Now, right now I've got strings that are like weeks old and they sound like rubber bands. Those bass notes, just horrible. But it's because I just haven't taken the time to change them. But I think when I recorded those acoustic snapshots, I had newer strings on the guitar. So because that's what I wanted there. Anyway, so if you're willing to change your strings every 4 to 8 weeks, don't go with coated strings. But if you want to change them just every 4 to 6 months, go with coated ones. Okay, so that's my take on that. Let me welcome our new friend, our new and old friends to the forum, because this was really cool to see two old folks jump in there again. Not old like by age, but Brad, we missed you. It was very cool that you had dropped back in after a couple of years, and welcome back. Hope to see more of you on the forum and stuff. And then Beaker, thanks for the question about Steve Stills working on Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, which I'll get to answer in that question. And also want to welcome Steve, who just jumped in like from nowhere from Oregon, and I appreciate everybody answering his questions and getting stuff in there too. So it's kind of cool when somebody joins the fold. So welcome, Steve. And let's see, the Steven Stills question was, why do I recommend playing it in D-A-D, as opposed to 5 Ds? There are a couple reasons. One is, when you tune your A string down to D, it gets so flabby that, first of all, it won't stay in tune very well, and so the intonation is terrible. It's gonna, every time you hit it, it's gonna wobble around a little bit, and it's really completely unnecessary. And as Beaker pointed out, when you play most of those chords, you're muting it anyway, so you're not really hearing it. So it just adds it's just easier on your guitar, and it doesn't affect the sound of the song at all. So and it's also not good for the string to be tuned down and then tuned back up and tuned down and back up, and you know, like a dozen times. So leaving the 5th string at A doesn't really affect the sound of the song much, if at all, and makes it just a lot more convenient to not have all those dumb Ds. So anyway, that's just my take on it. This song that I messed with a little bit last week, and I think I told you a little bit about it. It was one that I'd remembered learning when I was about 14 years old, or kind of almost like trying to learn because a friend of mine was playing it. Happens to be, it was by a guy named Duke Jordan, and who was a piano player. It was written in the early 50s. And it was called Jordu, J-O-R-D-U. Now, I found this in a fake book. Oh, I talked about fake books a little bit last week, but then I didn't really get to anything. So here's the whole tune, although I don't have this anywhere near under control yet. Section. That wasn't right. And then maybe a little solo. section. Key change. Now the B section here. We've got to get back to the original key. Yikes! I gotta learn this. Take it out. Need a little ending. Uh-oh. Okay. I'm not sure it's a good idea to share those works in progress when they're still like really, well, anyway, maybe next week I'll have a good version of that. In any case, I'll be back next week. It will be August. It will be August 1st. Right. Okay. We're getting closer to camp. Next week, I promise, big announcements about camp, at least as far as like what the schedule's going to do. I'm waiting to hear back from Dave and Doug about what we're trying to do. So, camp announcements next week, and also, and by the way, we still have room for people, so don't feel like it's too late. Even though we're only like 7 or 8 weeks away, we can hopefully people are still thinking about joining us because it's going to be fun. Anyway, that's it. I will see you next week.